Hello, class. I hope you're enjoying your finals week. I know it's really stressful, and I'm going to jump into a article of personal interest of mine, but it's also pretty far. It's almost a year ago, but talking about the want to have nuclear power plants. So a little bit of history with some nuclear power plants. So the main applications that we in the United States use nuclear power as far as energy is number one for electricity. That's probably the most common, but also we use it in Navy vessels, specifically nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers. So and the principle behind how the nuclear reactors work in the same way in a nuclear power plant as it does in a naval reactor. So using pressurized water and well, another weird thing, I think we used to have 110. We have about 106, I think, nuclear reactors online now in the United States. We get about 20% of our electricity from nuclear power. But they also, we have, each plant is unique. I mean, that's something other countries, although Japan has started to go away from nuclear power, France and Lithuania use quite a bit of nuclear power for electricity uses, but they have um, a standardized reactor type. We don't in the United States. So that is one problem that we have with our nuclear power. But our nuclear power plants are pretty inefficient. They're about 20% heat efficient. So you can compare that to a coal plant, which is about like 33% efficient. So we really make our nuclear power plants fairly inefficient. And the reason for that is safety. And we only run them at 500 degrees Celsius. So that's cooler than a candle flame. So like a candle flame is usually somewhere between 550 and 600 Celsius. So our nuclear power plants are not run very hot at all. And again, that's for safety. But there are some nice things about nuclear power, and it's a lot of energy in a small amount of space. And there are some applications that nuclear power just works better than other forms of non-fossil fuel energy. So a problem with solar and wind is they're not consistent. And so chemical plants, they need to have electricity online on all the time, and they also need to be constant. So that's an issue where solar, you don't just turn your chemical plant off at night. We have three shifts, and the chemical plants are running 24/7 all the time. So same thing with things like distillation columns. So I mean, well, I guess that is chemical plant, right? But this is one thing where a nuclear power plant would be good. And not only that, the waste heat from the nuclear power plant can be used in the chemical reactions. So I think this is a nice thing. I think this is a good idea. Although nuclear power in many ways is kind of taboo, right? I mean, in Hawaii, there's a state law saying that there is no nuclear power for electricity. Of course, in Hawaii, we also have nuclear subs, aircraft carriers, and nuclear weapons. So, but I guess that's federal, it's not state level. So I personally think that if I were king of Hawaii, I would have nuclear power, but of course I'm not king. So, but yeah, interesting thing. California has nuclear power plants as well. So there are nuclear power plants in California, and of course running off the old design. And we haven't built new plants since the 1960s. So this would be a new thing. And so Stephen Chu, when he was Secretary of Energy, he was into nuclear power, and the forces at Bay did not let him pursue that. He wanted to have smaller modular reactors, and this is kind of what it's at, smaller modular reactors. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see where this will go. And I personally would be for nuclear power. But I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I know how people feel differently about it, but I think it's interesting. So just something to think about. And again, I hope this finds you well. Everything is due on Friday. So if you can hear my voice, I have a cold. And I hope you don't get sick. Look after yourselves. And I mean, You know, faculty, the life as a faculty member is much easier than the life of a student, in my personal opinion. So it's you know, this time is stressful for us too as faculty, but the stress is kind of uh, is is uh, is taken out over a long period of time. For the students, it's much more acute. You know, it's a much more intense stress for you guys. So if you need anything, please let me know. I can't extend the deadlines past the end of the semester. I have to submit the grades. So please get your stuff in. If you need anything, let me know. So I'm going to sign off for now and take care, okay? Aloha.